console was the greatest of all time? The NES, the SNES, the GameCube, or the N64? It's a debate that's happening right now, Matthew. Debates. There is an answer. It's the Super Nintendo. It's not even a debate. But Matt, would you like to explain why it's the Super Nintendo?
I mean, I have my own personal reasons for it. If that's what you're want to.
No, there's only one reason. There's only ever one acceptable reason why anything can ever be dubbed the best.
Because of Link to the Past?
No.
I don't know.
It's because it has the most value for its unit. The number of quality games on SNES outnumber the number of quality games on anything else. The NES may have had more games because there's so much shovelware and just crap. The GameCube may have had the best games, but they only had like 20. And then you have the N64, which was a revolutionary console, but it completely feels outdated. It does not hold up, and it's not a console that sits in today's landscape as a retro or modern console. It's like the PlayStation 1. It's lost in the fact that it was a necessary component to get us to this point, but it will never be a console that its games will really ever truly live up to the standard. There are some outliers, Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation and maybe Ocarina of Time for the N64, but most of the games like GoldenEye are pretty fucking trash nowadays. The best analogy I can come up with is the N64 crawled so that the PlayStation 2 and Xbox and GameCubes and Dreamcasts could walk. So you'll never crawl.
Yeah, they basically laid. Yeah.
Yeah. No. You don't want to crawl. Like it's the worst way of movement. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that too, because especially with like the N64 and stuff, like it's definitely, it feels more like a stopgap to get to the next generation. Like just laying the foundation and the groundwork for what would become the better 3D games. Now there's some absolute classics on there, don't get me wrong. But again, like you said, if you look at some of the games now that people liked back then, they really don't hold up. Like a lot of them don't. The only ones to still hold up to me to even a remote degree are three Nintendo games, are Mario 64, Star Fox, and Ocarina of Time. That's it. The rest of it's kind of a sloppy mess. Even like as classic as GoldenEye was, the shooting mechanics are rough now. The aiming's gotten a lot better in games. You know, you got additions of dual joysticks. You know, there's much better ways to do games like that. Like that's not as iconic as you might think.
It's also the entire structure of how the game is played has been completely revamped and overhauled. It doesn't control like modern games do. So even that is different. So I would still say there's something like, you know, I'd go back and play WCW Revenge, but only because that's a licensed game and they'll never remake it because the WWE are stingy as fuck. So, I mean, if you want to make money, I'm just saying. But Matt, in your opinion, what is the next best console?
Shit. This might come as a shock, but between these four, after the Super Nintendo, I'm going to say the GameCube.
Right?
Like, no fucking question. It's the GameCube, man. Like, there's so many good games. It's such an underrated system. You know? Didn't sell as well as it was supposed. Didn't sell like it should have. So yeah, that system alone, like the backwards compatibility it had, everything, its functionality, just top-notch fucking shit. So you can brag about the NES all you want, but the GameCube's got your number, man. Come on.
That's why my fictional Nintendo / Sega console is called the DreamCube. I mean,
you are right about the library, though. The library is highly limited.
It's limited, but let's say there's 100 games. You want to own 85 of them. Unlike
this is true.
Unlike the N64, which maybe had 50 games and you want to own 2 of them. So
And all from like, and the thing is, the beauty is the good games on GameCube are all from like different developers and publishers to a degree.
Mhm.
The only really good games on the N64 only come from like either Nintendo or from THQ, right, or Rare. That's it. Everything else is shit, pretty much. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's accurate. So we'll talk more about favorite consoles next week. Maybe we'll talk favorite games from